Hey everybody, welcome once again to the Football Fandemic, where we are here to go over the AFC East today. Continuing in our preview of the 2023 season, division by division. We're glad you could join us here today, so stick around as we talk about that and more on the Football Fandemic. All right. Well, I'm here with Josh, and I'm going to have him unmute his mic and join us here because we are ready to talk about some AFC East today. We're going to get to some news first. We're doing, as you can see here, kind of our second ever kind of video podcast instead of audio podcast. So those of you who are listening on audio to this later, do sometime jump over to the Football Fandemic YouTube channel, and you can catch the video and you can see our lovely faces, right, Josh? And right now it's just me and Josh today. Brandon Colmark again is out. Ever since that boy got a job, things have gotten harder for him, and he's rarely with us anymore. But we have him here in spirit. He's our Packers fan, and well, today we're talking about someone who used to be near and dear to his heart. Maybe that's why he decided not to be with us today. He didn't want to have to say anything bad about Aaron Rodgers, because we are going over the AFC East, and that's going to be talking about his former quarterback. So
a lot of former players, though, not just quarterback.
Yeah, that's the, what was it, the New York Packers? Mm-hmm. The Green Bay Jets, however you want to say that. Well, hey, let's look at some of the different news that we have going on around the league right now. Some things that have been happening. Bills, who have, they lost a key defensive piece. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I think it was defensive line guy they lost to the Chicago Bears. But they did end up signing a defensive end linebacker, Leonard Floyd. I don't really know. Where was Leonard Floyd before?
I think L.A. Yeah, L.A. for 2 years.
Not going to lie, Leonard Floyd brings nothing to my mind. Was he good?
Actually, he was not bad. I mean, his best season, I mean, he was drafted by the Bears, of course. He was okay there. I mean, he's a fast linebacker. But once the Rams started playing him at defensive end, he had 2020 was 10.5 sacks, and 2021 was 9.5. So, I mean, he's digressed, but 2022 is 9, so he's had productive seasons. I mean, it was just more of a cap casualty by the Rams to cut him. I remember that. I mean, pairing him with Von Miller on the other side, and then Ed Oliver, who they just extended for the next 4 years in the middle. I mean, I think this defensive line is going to be pretty good. I mean, they also have a couple backups or depth pieces we'll get into when we go over this team in the AFC East in a couple minutes, but this defensive line is looking pretty good with Leonard Floyd as an addition.
Well, there you go. Leonard Floyd, for those of you who know Leonard Floyd, you can be excited about that. So the Bills trying to plug some holes where they lost some stuff in free agency. We have some investigations going on. The NFL currently investigating. I thought it was just one player. We have on our little script here, players. Is there more than just was it Isaiah Rodgers?
I heard players, but I mean, Isaiah Rodgers of the Colts did it, but then remember 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was
all those Detroit Lions.
Those Detroit Lions and a couple commanders, or one commander that did it also. So I put players maybe just because maybe Isaiah Rodgers did it and then those players, but I feel like a lot more players did it because I remember a tweet yesterday, right here. Report, an NFL player, not named, NFL player lost $8 million from gambling in 2022 per Mike Florio. And Mike Florio is a legit source for this, for NFL stuff.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I know there's an investigation into that, and I believe that they're going to find something with Isaiah Rodgers because I think he's already come out and apologized.
Yeah, he's already said he's apologized. I think he was the one that, well, people were commenting on that same tweet I just said, why don't you just, have your buddy, gamble for you, and then, you get the money, yada, yada, they get 10%, whatever. I think that's what Isaiah Rodgers did, and they somehow found that out. They have ways to find these things out. I mean, Isaiah Rodgers is reported that he used a friend or a family member, whatever, to gamble for him, and then if he won, they got 10% or some sort of percentage, probably. But he used a family member or a friend, not his own account, to gamble for him because, these accounts, they have to have their name and their bank account number on these things. So they'll find these things out. So they're going to find out any way you do it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the Colts, and I know we're not going over that AFC South today, but that was kind of their most veteran cornerback, and they were already thin at cornerback. So that's going to open up some stuff as we go through training camp for some other guys to get in there and get some work, because he's probably going to miss some, if not all of the season. Wasn't the guy from
Detroit was suspended the full season? A couple of them were. I know a couple of were also suspended. I don't know how they predict, or they hand out these suspensions, but I know the Commanders guy was suspended either 4 or 8 games. A couple of Lions players were suspended the whole season, and then a couple of these players were also cut on the Lions, but then a couple were suspended 8 games. So I don't know how they hand out these suspensions, if it's based on how much you bet or how often you bet or whatever, but I don't know.
Well, that's bad news. But for some cornerback on Indy's roster who was not going to get much of a legitimate shot, that's maybe better news. So I hate to see that Isaiah Rodgers is not going to be there. Maybe we would have made a harder push for Rock Ya-Sin if we knew Isaiah Rodgers wasn't going to be there. But he's already signed with, who was it? Baltimore?
The Ravens, yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunate. Let's see, Bills, more Bills news. I think we already talked about this.
We talked about it a little bit.
Ed Oliver to a 4-year extension, so he's going to be there. So we already talked about that one. Here's a good one. I went ahead.
Here's more Bill news. Yeah, more Bills news.
Yeah, I got a graphic for this one. Let's see if I can do this with. Oh, look at that! We got our Madden 24 leak, and I think it's been kind of confirmed now that Josh Allen is going to be on the cover of the EA Sports Madden game. Not concerned about the curse. I don't know if we've seen much happen in the way of the curse, as I think Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady were both on it last year. And
Tom Brady might have gotten the curse.
Super Bowl.
Tom Brady might have gotten that end of the curse because they didn't make. I mean, they made the playoffs, but he had a down year for Tom Brady, basically. But I think the curse is slowly being lifted by these players. Lamar Jackson, I think he got it the year after he won MVP, and he's missed a couple games every season, but ever since then he's played at a high level. Patrick Mahomes got it twice, and he's a top 2 quarterback in the league, and honestly, he's not number 1 for me, but
well, we're going to get to watch him. This is some news. I don't know if it's on our thing, but there's like this quarterbacks thing coming out on Netflix. And of all the quarterbacks, they choose to follow 3, it looks like. They've got Patrick Mahomes, they've got Marcus Mariota for some reason, and
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, right.
I mean, 2 of those they're all right. Mariota's a backup, though, so I don't understand why that one.
Right.
But
and Kirk Cousins.
Maybe it was just more so like these players
shelf.
agree. Yeah, maybe Kirk Cousins is pretty good, but maybe it's more so these players agreed to it than some players like Josh Allen or whatever. Like, I don't want to be a part of this. You know what I mean? Maybe they reached out, but they didn't.
If we're talking about quarterbacks that I think would be awesome to see, I think it would be better if we had the 3 for our teams, right? Not just for our homer thing, but all of them are newish, right? Jordan Love is getting his first starts. Howell's getting his first full season. They're both getting their first full season, and then Anthony Richardson. Boy, that would be much more interesting to me. But they don't have all that, film backlog.
They're not popular. Yeah. But speaking of Kirk Cousins, you mentioned because of this Netflix thing. Kirk Cousins yesterday was leaked, or not leaked, but reported, I guess. He won't be extended his contract. Well, they haven't made any progress on his extension, and he's slated to be a free agent. He's expecting to be a free agent next year. So I wonder how that happens.
He said something about we're not going to talk about it during the year, and so
I think he's
so maybe he's saying that I'm not going to talk about it during the year, and I expect it's not going to get done. He's doing that to apply pressure so they will get it done.
Maybe
before. I don't know. We'll see. What else is going on? Vikings, in other Viking news, they've cut Dalvin Cook. We all saw that coming for a long time. They were trying to trade him, couldn't. They cut him, and I think he will take his time. I don't think there's any rush for him to find his new team.
That's what he said. Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna like not really enjoy this, but I'm gonna find the right fit basically. But not really a leak. But right when he was cut, he posted a picture of him not really celebrating, but jumping in the air. I guess you saw that. You saw what I'm talking about. Like jumping in the air, I guess, in Miami's Hard Rock Stadium. So don't know if that means anything, but that is his number one source based off reporters and other things too. That's where his number one source is to land.
Yeah, we'll see. They have to come up with the money and they have to be ready to do it. Just because he says in his little tweet, I'm excited about going there, doesn't mean that that's what they're looking for or that they have the money. They've added a lot of pieces down there, and they are in a division that we're going to cover today.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that in just a little bit. J.J. Watt is going to be inducted into the Texans Ring of Honor this season. And I think if you look at any Texans player, is he the first one? Do they have anybody else in the Ring of Honor?
I feel like they have to have Andre Johnson at this point because he's been retired for 10 years. But
I don't know. I've never really paid attention to the Texans Ring of Honor, to be honest. But J.J. Watt, if there's anybody that should be in it, it's J.J. Watt. Yeah,
Andre Johnson is in there. He was inducted 2017, and then Bob McNair, their owner/founder, is 20, and then J.J. Watt. But I think this is the fastest I've seen a player being inducted in any Ring of Honor. But we were talking about this, funny enough, because you just said something. I can't remember what you said, honestly. But me and a coworker I was talking about, we were talking about it at work, and I sent him the clip I made of you, and it was like, what two players is Matthew going to say next on Twitter for his Ring of Honor? He was like, I don't know about Johnny Unitas because the whole like moving from Baltimore to Indianapolis. All these Baltimore players, a lot of them 90% of them are in the Baltimore Ravens Hall of Fame or Ring of Honor because they don't want to be.
We didn't say Ring of Honor. We said the Colts Mount Rushmore.
That's
different.
Yeah, I had to tell him that. But I mean, I just find it interesting in general that these Colts players that brought stardom to the Colts, a couple of Super Bowls, one or two, and they're like, yeah, we don't want any part of them. We hate how they moved out and et cetera, et cetera. And all these Baltimore Colts players are in the Baltimore Ravens Ring of Honor. I guess, I don't know.
Boy, yeah, Unitas to be a Raven, that seems wrong.
Unitas,
he's in the Ravens Ring of Honor. There was a couple other players that were like. He is in the Baltimore Ravens, not the Baltimore Colts.
Yeah, he's in the Baltimore because I think the agreement. I'll share my screen. I think the agreement was. Oh, it's not on there. The agreement was that like when they moved over, because they didn't want to be an expansion team, quote unquote, because whatever. But so they got all of the Baltimore got all of the so Johnny Unitas is here, Lenny Moore is here, Donovan, Jim Parker, Raymond Berry, Ted Hendricks, John Mackey, and then I think going from Art Modell down is all.
Hold
Ravens
Control on your keyboard and scroll your wheel to zoom in on this page so we can get that bigger here on the screen.
Besides Ernest Biner was more of a coach. But everybody except Ernest Biner on this list is a Baltimore Colt. And, yeah.
So they're in the Baltimore Ravens Ring of Honor?
Yeah, and if I pull up Colts Ring of Honor, I think, because me and my coworker went over this. Stop sharing. We looked it up, and I think only like one or two. So I guess Robert Irsay technically Baltimore Raven, but also Baltimore Colt, but also an Indianapolis Colt because he was owner. Ted Marchibroda was a player during that time period, but is also a head coach. So he was, I guess, inducted as both. But that's it. All these guys are Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. Pull up the Ravens Ring of Honor. I want to see who all's in that.
Overall Ravens or just...
Well, I mean, if you just go early enough, it's going to be Colts people, right?
Yeah, so Ravens start right here. And yeah, this is the Ravens Ring of Honor. So Art Modell.
So go back. I want to see Johnny Unitas in this.
right here.
There he is. As a Raven. Does it say he's a Raven? Baltimore
He's also
Ravens.
retired. He also has a jersey retired, accordingly. Not retired, but not in circulation. So I don't know if it's officially retired, but they don't use Johnny Unitas' number either.
Right. Well, I'm taking him off Mount Rushmore then. He's not even going to, if he's going to say he's a Raven now, then let him be a Raven.
I remember he sent me a link about this, and it was like, I'll pull it up on my...
Unitas?
No. The guy I work with. I'll put it up on my phone real quick, but here it is. The NFL, according to Wikipedia, under their continuity, I don't know what on whose Wikipedia this is, but and the NFL treats the Baltimore Colts and the Indianapolis Colts, including logos, history, and records, as one continuous franchise since 1953. Despite this, many former Baltimore Colts players led by Johnny Unitas disowned the Colts franchise after they moved to Indianapolis. Instead of choosing to remain loyal to the city of Baltimore, these former players embraced the new Baltimore Ravens franchise when it arrived in Baltimore in '96. The Ravens do claim the history of the Baltimore Colts as part of their own and have added the Baltimore Colt Hall of Famers to the Baltimore Ravens Ring of Honor. The Ravens officially have no retired numbers, but out of respect for Unitas, his number is not used in circulation, like it says.
There you go. Well, it looks like if we're going to be true Indianapolis fans, then we're going to have to discount Unitas. So I'll have to pull somebody else in from a Mount Rushmore. Sorry, Unitas. You made the choice. You're out. Out. All right. Well, let's see. What else is happening here? We've got... So that's J.J. Watt. And I'm not surprised that he went in so quick because Texans is like a young franchise and they have nobody and they kind of want to be like the other team. So, yeah.
What's crazy about this Ring of Honor is what's also not crazy, but funny is he's getting inducted when they play the Steelers in Houston, and T.J. Watt is going to be playing for Pittsburgh against Houston on his induction day.
There you go. Well,
so they probably planned it out that way, but it's just, you know.
So he can honor his brother.
Yeah.
You know, he's against them. Right. New York Packers, as we kind of alluded to earlier, signing another... New York Packers. Yep, that's what we said. New York Packers.
I put that, yeah.
New York Jets signing another Packer yet. So they've got Aaron Rodgers. They've got
I'll pull that up real
Lazard.
quick.
They've got Randall Cobb.
Tim Boyle backup.
The backup quarterback, Tim Boyle. And now Adrian Amos.
Nathaniel Hackett is their offensive coordinator.
Right.
There's a couple others, but you know.
That's at least 6 that have Packer ties on their
I know
roster.
somebody tweeted about like how many they actually have.
Crazy that they're bringing in all these players. It's I think the meme I saw was Aaron Rodgers saying, "I can't win with the team you put around me because I don't have enough weapons." And then he goes to the new team. He's like, "I want all my old weapons." And that's what he gets.
And then on top of the players you said, they got Billy Turner, which is an offensive tackle they just signed this offseason, and Malik Taylor, which is a wide receiver. So.
Okay, guys we haven't heard of as much, but
so, they're still on the team, and they're still 4 Packers. Yeah,
there you go. And then Kirk Cousins, we already talked about, will not be extended. At least it doesn't look that way. So that's kind of our news for what's going on, and we are now going to jump to our AFC East edition of the what is that? The looking forward divisional projections sort of thing. And so we're looking here with our teams today. We're starting with the Dolphins, the Bills. Who else on this? We got the Patriots and the Jets. So we'll go in the order they are here, starting with the Dolphins, which is not who you would think. I would expect to start with the Bills. Actually, let's just do it in the order I want to do. Let's start with the
alphabetical
Bills.
order. I just want to say before we start, so most of you guys know, I mean, me and Brandon had this whole talk about this, and you probably saw it, Matthew, but this whole talk about Adam, you know who Adam Rank is, you guys probably do. He's like an NFL analyst, supposedly an NFL analyst. So on Twitter, it was like 2 weeks ago, he does this yearly thing where he, predicts every schedule, basically what we're doing, except we're hopefully more realistic. But so he predicted our teams. I mean, we're not going to get into our teams, but he predicted our teams to have a record. But he also predicted the Bears to go 12-5, which, of course, he's a Bears fan, but that's just super unrealistic. So I have, as we go through these teams, we're gonna say what Adam Rank's prediction for their teams is, and how we're gonna say how outlandish, I guess you can say, or how crazy these rankings are, or these standings are, or how, you know, close to what we think they will be, because some of these are very, very off.
Yes, so a couple of our hosts here believe that Adam Rank is a clown when it comes to ranking.
Yeah,
but
only for the
we will
Bears.
talk
Some of these
about
are
his.
some of these are legit, but you know the Bears are. You have the Bears. He also had the Bears 11-6 or 10-5 or whatever last year, and they went 2-14.
He is a Bears fan.
He is a
And
Bear. He's a biased Bears fan.
Says,
He
I
even
know
tweeted
this
about
is
that.
biased. Right.
Yeah, he tweeted about that.
Hey, quick announcement. I think I just got a message saying Cody was here listening to us in person. I think that's what it said.
Yeah, I liked it.
Look at that. So you can drop a comment there, I believe, on YouTube, and it'll pop up here for us, and we can even see that you're here, Cody, if you're still here. He says, I was in for 3 seconds and I'm out, because that's how exciting this is. No. Hey, let's start with the Bills. Let's go through their schedule and see
and their
what
roster.
we think they're going to look like. Talk about their roster a little bit first.
Right.
When you
All
got the
right.
Bills, we already talked a little bit about, they lost, I forget his name, defensive player who was pretty big in the middle of their line. Who am I thinking?
I think they had Ed Oliver, which they just resigned. That's the only thing I can think of.
No. Let's see. Tremaine Edmonds.
Nah, that's the linebacker. Yeah.
Right. He went to Chicago, and that was a big deal for them. And so that's like one of their biggest losses. Now, there's been some like uncertainty and trouble, or not trouble, but some questions going around what's going on with Stephon Diggs, but I've heard that that's resolved.
That's been resolved. Yeah, he came back to camp yesterday.
So he's back to camp and acting like everything's good, which is important because he's big on that team. They did bring in, like we said, those couple defensive players, or they've extended Ed Oliver, and they brought in
Leonard Floyd.
Leonard
They still have
Floyd.
Von Miller, he's coming off an injured year, but it's Leonard
Did he
Floyd.
play
It's
last year?
No, he played like half. Let me look.
Right.
I think he played like
Not
half
very
the
much.
season, or not very much, basically. But yeah. The linebackers are kind of weak if you look at it in retrospective, form, because besides Matt Milano, he's more of a coverage guy. Von Miller is going to be rushing the edge 90% of the time, and so you have AJ Klein, which is all right. He's serviceable, and then Matt Milano, which is really good, but you need another linebacker to fill that position. So they're average at linebacker. I wouldn't say they're the best in the league. I wouldn't say they're the worst either. You're still set at quarterback. You're still set at running back. You got Damian Harris, Nyheim Hines, Latavius Murray, and James Cook. You got 4 really good running backs. Wide receiver, still you got Stephon Diggs, which we just talked about, and Gabe Davis. And then you drafted a couple guys and Justin Shorter. And you still got Dawson Knox, and you just drafted Dalton Kincaid at tight end. So, you still have weapons for Josh Allen.
So, all of that being said, let's take a look at their schedule here, and we'll go through it bit by bit. And let me get back to that page here so we can pull up that schedule, and we'll take a look here. All right, just as I told you to do, I will make that larger so we can see. So preseason, or regular season, again, they don't have preseason on this one, but regular season, they start with a division rival that we're going to talk about here today as well, the New York Jets. New York Jets, who just got Aaron Rodgers and already had a great defense last year. They had a good young wide receiver. They pulled in several Packers receivers. What do you think is going to happen in this first week? Bills, Jets?
At New York, the Jets' defense is really good. I think that's one of the reasons. They had Zach Wilson at quarterback, and they almost made the playoffs down the stretch. I think that was one of the reasons. This is one of those where I don't know what's going to happen because of Rodgers. Is he, did he, do bad last year because of old age? He's getting older, or whatever, or did he just not have quote unquote weapons?
Sixth worst quarterback rating last year,
something like that. Yeah, he didn't do great.
But MVP the 2 years before that. So who is he right now?
Exactly. I think they win this one. The Bills.
You think the Bills beat the Jets in this? I agree. I think.
Are you writing this down again?
I am going to, yes. So
all right.
I got the Bills start off with a win. Then they're going to face the Raiders. I'm going to call that another win.
Another win.
Just because of the state of the Raiders is not. We don't even know if Garoppolo is going to be able to
play.
practice at all with his team.
Another win,
or if he's going to be.
I'm not gonna be biased about this one at all. They're not gonna win. The Commanders are not gonna win this one.
So you're going to say Bills beat Commanders.
Bills beat. Yep.
Then we come up against the Dolphins,
which
surprisingly is one of their tougher opponents, even in years where they're not the greatest, but they're looking even better.
I think they lose.
I think the Miami Dolphins beat them here.
That's what. Yeah, me too.
So I'm going to give them a loss. Jacksonville.
Sunday at 9:30. I think another win. The Jacksonville loses. Sorry. So Bills. Anytime I say they win, the Bills win. Anytime I say the Giants, they win again.
New England.
Well,
I don't know much about New England right now. I'm saying they're going to beat New England.
I do too.
I'm saying they're going to win, and they're going to win Tampa Bay because that's Baker Mayfield's team, and we all know who Baker Mayfield is. Then they come up against one who's been giving them a lot of trouble
of
late, and I think the Bengals will win there in Week 9.
Yep.
The Denver Broncos, they're going to try to get it together with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, but I'm going to say the Bills
Me too.
beat them.
I think it's close. I think it's closer than people expect, but I don't think the Broncos win. I think this is the one the Jets win, though. I do think
coming back. I think Aaron Rodgers and them have had some time to get stuff under their belt, and I think the Jets actually win one in Week 11. So that's
look at this stretch right here. This 3-week stretch.
Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City,
and then the Jets, and the Cowboys. But I was thinking more so the Jets, Eagles, Cowboys.
So looking at Philadelphia, you think they're going to?
I think they.
Take?
Wow. No idea.
It's a tough.
I don't think they. Me too. Because I don't think they go 3 losses in a row. But I also can see them losing to the Chiefs, and I can also see them losing to the Eagles. But I also see this bye week as a recuperation period for the Bills, and the Chiefs can lose. You know what I mean?
I think the Eagles beat them. So we've got a loss to the Jets.
I actually don't. I think the Bills win. So I think we're gonna have to go to our coin toss.
For the Jets?
No, for the Eagles.
For the Eagles. All right. I say the Eagles win. You say the Bills win. Do your coin toss.
Coin flip. All right. So heads. We're just gonna establish this before we get into it. Heads is the away team, or heads is the home team. Tails is the away team.
Okay.
Heads is home team, so it would be Philadelphia.
Okay. So we're saying that is a loss there. And Cody, if you're still in, you can weigh in on this too, since you're a third person who might have some opinions on this. We don't have Brandon Colmark here with us today. You can jump in and
we
say,
can do that. You know what?
This.
We'll do that. If Cody is still here, or anybody else is still here, if we're at an indecision, we don't make a decision. We have to coin flip. You can put in a decision, and we'll take that as our third guy.
There we go. So keep your eye on that comment bar there, Josh, in case I look away from it. But we're going to right now go ahead and say that the Philadelphia Eagles beat them. So that's a loss for the Bills. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to say, is also a loss for them. But then I think they come back and beat Dallas.
I do too. So I agree with you on both of these.
And then for the Chargers,
I think this is where the Chargers start crumbling. Like every year, they're like, oh, we're going strong. He had the Eagles winning in Philly, so he agreed with us. But I think the Chargers start crumbling here. You know what I mean? They at this point they're like 10-5 or whatever, and they're like at that playoff push. They're in the wild card, because the Chiefs are going to win the division, and they start crumbling and they barely miss. So I think that the Bills win this one.
I think the Bills win in week 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's going on here? I missed the bye week. What week was the bye week? 13?
13.
All right, let's move all these down. That's a bye week. Loss, win. And then you say week 15 is a win. I'm sorry. Week 14 was a loss, right?
Yeah, and then week 15 and 16. 15 and 16 are, unless you said something different about the Chargers.
16 is a win. I'm okay with that. New England, I think they sweep them.
18. I do too.
So I'm going to say that's a win. And then last week against the Dolphins. At
already
this
beat 'em.
point,
I know.
they're at 11 wins at this point, and I think they're trying. I don't know if they'll still be in shot of the Chiefs, who I anticipate will be one
I
of
think
the
they
top.
win this one,
Chiefs
though,
and the
but
Bengals
yeah.
will be the other top running teams for the AFC top seed. So it just kind of matters if they are, still within shooting range, whether they rest people or whether they.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's just do it like we did last week. In all scenarios, there's no resting. There's no whatever. Where they're playing to win. So I think they win this one.
So you think they sweep? Did we say
No,
they won?
no. We said they lost the first one, so
Okay, so this would be the split.
I think they split. Yeah.
I can go with that. That puts them at 13 wins, right?
Yeah.
And
And
1, 2, 3. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. 4. I have 5 losses. Yeah, that's right. 13.
12.
No.
12 and
That's
5.
not. 12 and 5.
Yeah, I can see 12 wins. Of course, like we said, or I was mentioning earlier before we got into this, Adam Rank doesn't because he thinks they go 9 and 8, which is I don't know what he's thinking, but
Yeah, I think they're definitely more than a 9-win team
Me
this
too, yeah.
year. Even though the other teams have gotten better in that division, I think is it Stefanski that's their coach?
who Bills or Dolphins?
Bills.
McDermott.
McDermott, right. I think their coaching keeps them from
Alive,
falling
yeah.
off, even though the other teams have gotten better. So, okay, so we've got a 12 and 5 season for the Bills. All
can see
right,
that.
let's go ahead then and see. Let's see who's our next one on
The
your
Dolphins.
orders. It's the Dolphins.
Yeah, let's look at their team real quick. I mean, like we just talked about earlier, they've improved a lot. I mean, of course, we fed this multiple times, but like with Jalen Hurts last year, with a couple quarterbacks in the last year as well. But can this quarterbacks play well? I mean, we've seen it with Tua, but I think the key right here is can Tua stay healthy because you've got a plethora of running backs on your team that can help out. You got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle, which doesn't need to be spoken about there, right? They're both a great top 10 wide receivers in the league.
Yep.
You got, I'd say top 20 at the best, but Chosen Anderson, or Robbie Anderson, who they just signed. You still have Braxton Berrios. I know you're kind of lacking at tight end a bit because there's not really a top tier tight end that, nobody knows the name of. And maybe Dolphins fans or maybe people who actually enjoy football a lot, but nobody that like people know and say, oh, this guy's a good player. In the offseason, they signed, they signed a couple tackles. Isaiah Wynn from the Patriots, Cedric Agbuy from the Bengals. So they have some depth there. They improved their line a bit. They still have a pretty good defensive line in Christian Wilkins and Emmanuel Ogbah, Raekwon Davis. They just traded for Bradley Chubb last year. They still have him on the defense in the linebacker core, along with Jerome Baker and Jalen Phillips, which you could probably put at defensive end anyway. He's an edge rusher. And then you got in the secondary Javon Holland, Jalen Ramsey, who they just traded for some backup tight end we never heard of.
Right. And Howard out there.
Braden Jones, Xavier Howard, and Deshaun Elliott's a pretty good backup. So is Bethel and Campbell. So, I mean, you got a pretty borderline top 10 defense right here and a pretty borderline top 10 offense right here if Tua can stay healthy.
I think you hit the magic phrase there was if Tua can stay healthy. That's what this whole season is going to ride on. They did bring in Mike White, to be the backup from the Jets.
Yeah, which is a great backup,
but I don't think
dependable.
I don't think that's the total answer if Tua goes down.
No, me neither.
Because Tua's going to be taking all the first snaps, and he's the one comfortable with his team. So it really does come down to can Tua stay healthy? And so before we get to our record, do you think Tua stays healthy this season?
I think he stays healthy more than he did last year, and I don't think I don't say that meaning like, oh, he's going to have more concussions. I think it's more like, oh, he misses a week there and a week there because some leg cramp or whatever. It's not. I don't think he has many concussions. I think the league noticed what happened last year, and they're starting to slowly move forward to protecting these players. But I think as well as at that same period, I think the Dolphins and Dolphins staff and the Dolphins training staff and whatever are noticing this too, and they're doing everything they can to protect Tua. And I don't think he has as many concussions as he does last year. If he misses a game, it's probably from a leg strain or an illness or whatever. I don't think it's concussions, like consecutive concussions.
All right. Well, let's start looking through this preseason here. They got the Falcons, the Texans, and the Jaguars, whatever. But we get to the regular season. They start with the Chargers. Chargers and Miami is an interesting matchup to begin with.
I think they come off slinging.
I think they'll both come out strong at the beginning, and it's important for Miami to get as many wins as they can to keep up with the Bills. Chargers will also be trying to keep up with some people, but in this one, I think the Chargers could come away with the win right away in week 1. But man, that Miami wide receiving core is just, they're game breakers, and I could see that them taking over here.
I actually think the Dolphins win. So we're going to go to Cody, but I think the Dolphins win because if Cody's still here. But I think Dolphins win. Like you said, that offensive core is too overpowered. And I mean, the Chargers last year, they signed these cornerbacks to boost their secondary. J.C. Jackson and a couple, and they didn't perform at all. And then you have the Dolphins who just improved midseason, improved with Bradley Chubb and their deep linebacker core, their edge rushing, and you just signed or traded for Jalen Ramsey. So I just think they have too much that they're, you know what I mean? It's like the dream. Do you remember the dream team of the Eagles in like 2011?
I do.
I think this is not a dream team, but this is a team that is capable of being one if everything clicks. And I think everything clicks in week 1. And Cody says, I pulled it up, but Cody said the Dolphins win also.
Okay, we're going to give Dolphins the win there. And maybe what's a tightly contested game, but they're going to pull the win out. Then they come up against the New England Patriots, who have always dominated that division until the last 3 years when Tom Brady left. They have not. I think the Miami Dolphins beat them here and continue pushing them down to the bottom of that division. So if that's a win for them, who's next here? Week 3, Denver Broncos. It's really hard for me right now, and it's going to be hard for me through all of these to ever say the Denver Broncos are good until I see Sean Payton and Russell Wilson.
I mean, we know Sean Payton, we know Russell Wilson, but Sean Payton took a year off. Russell Wilson performed terrible last year. Was that all on Nathaniel Hackett's fault, or their offense, whatever? I think they do better than last year, but I don't think they win this game. Which is funny because
going to happen. Either Sean Payton's going to revive Russell Wilson's career,
which is possible.
Or at the end of this season, they decide they're going for a younger quarterback and letting Russell Wilson go. That's my guess right now.
What's funny though is I think every team, because we did that in AFC North last week or 2 weeks ago, I think every team that we have that has played the Broncos so far that we've guessed or whatever, I think we all have them as a loss. And I don't think this is a team I think there's a team coming up that beats or that loses to the Broncos if they play them, but I do not think this is a team. I think the Dolphins win.
I'm going to go with you on that. Dolphins in week 3.
We had them winning this one, right?
Buffalo Bills, we have them winning this one if we look at what we just did. They surprise the Bills early, so we're going to give them the win there against week 4. Wow. Week 5 against the Giants.
I feel like this is one of those trap games, honestly. I do not know.
Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, right? That's who you got there. And New York.
They have a good offensive line, and I got okay secondary. I'm just gonna say it because I think it. I think I've been running these scenarios in my head, last couple minutes when I saw this, and it's like I don't think it's possible as many times as I want it to be, but I think the Dolphins win this one.
You think the Dolphins win this one?
Yeah, I just think there's no way that the Giants, unless some magic. I mean, we've seen it happen before. 16-0 Patriots, whatever. But I just don't. That was years ago. But I just don't think this happens. There's a way that the Giants win. I think the Dolphins have this one.
I think I'm going to go with the Giants on this one. So either Cody chime in or get your coin ready because we're going to be split on this one. And I think it really has to do, for me, with the idea that I think the Giants will have some games where they come out stronger than expected. And I think you'll have some games where Tua is a little flat. Mm-hmm. And I think this is one of them.
That's what I also considered. So if Cody doesn't chime in with the next 30 seconds, I will be willing to. I'll avoid the coin. I will be willing to switch because I was like running as many scenarios as I can to think why the Giants could win because I think they can, and it just didn't come out. So if Cody doesn't chime in with the next, he said Giants. So
Giants. Okay, so we're giving the Dolphins a loss on week 5. Maybe they'll pass that. Then we come to Carolina Panthers. I think they're going to win that one because I think Bryce Young is, even though he's great
young.
at placing the ball, I think it's going to be a little harder for him to get started than people expect.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give them the win on 6. Philadelphia Eagles.
There's a loss.
All right, I'll go with that. I would have a tough time really deciding which way I was going to go there.
I think
how about
that.
the New England Patriots' second game?
This is where they fell. This is where they fell flat last year. Also, this like they started 7-0 or 6-0 whatever, and then they Tua was injured. But who do they play week? They have a bye week. Who do they play week 12 or week 11? Sorry. Okay. You know what? I think they lose to the Patriots, and I think they lose to the Chiefs.
So we got them losing 3 in a row. 7,
8,
and 9. And I can go with that. Week 10 is their bye. Week 11, they got the Raiders, and that's why it's going to be a win.
That's a win, because I wanted to look what their bye was, and I just can't see the Dolphins. I mean, they happened last year, I think, but I can't see the Dolphins losing 4 weeks in a row. So I had to, think in my mind, okay, they lose to the Chiefs definitely, or it's going to be a close game, but they probably lose. They always play well in or they always either play well in, I can't remember what it is. They always either play well in New England or they always play well against New England in Miami. And I can't remember which one it was, but they always split they always split that series, and I think that's what happens again.
Now we get to a fun one, Week 12.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers getting in the groove with his people. You think Dolphins lose?
Yep.
I'm also going to go with that because I think the Jets are going to be a little bit better than people expect this year, and people expect quite a bit.
Yeah.
So maybe not better than they expect, but
quite a bit. We'll get into it in a couple.
Aaron Rodgers will make a difference.
I think they win
Washington Commanders.
The next two they win. Titans and Commanders.
Okay, so you're saying Dolphins beat Commanders, Dolphins beat Titans. I could see Titans somehow giving them trouble just because they have in the past, but right now I'm not a big believer in what's going on with the Titans.
They don't have a wide receiver core. I mean, maybe if they send Hopkins, I might be, but they still don't have a reliable quarterback.
Do they come back in Week 15 and show the Jets that they can figure it out, or do?
Yeah, they do. At home, they do. Coming off 2 wins in a row, momentum on their side. We haven't gotten to the Jets schedule yet, so we don't know what's going to happen. But they win this one, the Dolphins.
Okay, what about against the Cowboys?
I
I'm
feel
going to
like
give the Cowboys the win here.
I feel like I have to pick one of these teams. Cowboys lose. Cowboys win. Sorry, I was going to say Dolphins lose, but yeah. I think that defensive line and that pass rush for the Cowboys is too much for to handle, and that offensive line, even though they have Terron Armstead.
I'm going to give them a win over the Baltimore
Me too.
Ravens.
I was going to say this is probably the time that Lamar Jackson will be out for some random injury that we don't know. So this is a win for the Dolphins.
Now we could actually look back at last week's and see what did we say here? Baltimore.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that.
I've got this here. Let's see. Ravens, this is week 17. We have the Ravens getting a loss here. So we're still on board.
We got to remember that. I mean, it's been 2 weeks. We still have to remember that.
It's going to get harder as we go.
Because all these teams are going to be playing each other.
Right.
And it's
week 18 against the Buffalo Bills. We already said the Bills would win this, so we're giving them the loss here. So what does this put us at? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wins.
Dude, we almost
just 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 10 and 7.
Oh, we almost agreed with Adam Rank on this one because he said the Dolphins would go 11 and 6, which is not far fetched, but a little high. But 9 to 11 wins is right in the range I put him in, and we got right in the middle. But I don't think Adam Rank was far off in this one, surprisingly.
Oh, there you go. So is he still really the clown? All right,
we'll find out. We'll find out next team because this is a little.
Who are we going to next?
The New York Packers.
The New York Packers. Well, tell us a little bit about their team. We know they've got Aaron Rodgers. We've already talked about these wide receivers, these people, the Packers people. Here, hit control and scroll in so we can see this stuff better as you're doing it. But we know that.
Let's go. Yeah, halfway through. Yeah. So we know they got Aaron Rodgers.
Tim Boyle.
Yeah. We know they got Aaron Rodgers. They still have Breece Hall coming off injuries, so that's gonna be fun. Wide receivers, they got Randall Cobb, which is their dependable, couple yard drag route for Aaron Rodgers. That's what it's gonna be probably for him. They still have Corey Davis, which he didn't perform well last year, but he's still dependable. They got McCole Hartman, who is probably the guy they're going to be thrown to over the top because of how fast he is. They still got Garrett Wilson, which is the offensive rookie of the year last year. He's going to be their number one.
Skipped right over Lazard, who will.
And then I was going to go to Lazard because I was trying to think of something to say about him. He's probably going to be more of their middle route guy. He's not that fast, but he's not that slow either. Kind of like Cobb. He'll probably be the middle of the line guy, 10 to 15, seam routes or whatever.
What he has is a real chemistry with Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
And so does Cobb.
They got CJ Uzoma last year. They got Tyler Conklin still. Those are, they're dependable tight ends. They're going to work fine. They still have Mekhi Becton and Dwayne Brown on the tackles. I can't remember, but I believe they signed Connor McGovern this offseason, which is a pretty good center. They signed Wes Schweitzer from the Commanders, which he can have some ups and downs, but more ups than downs. I can see this working out. And then they still have they signed Billy Turner, another Packer. Sadly, Brandon's not here to say anything about this one because I don't pay attention to the Packers as much. But and then they got Elijah Vera Tucker, who they drafted last year or 2 years ago. Playing guard, I think he's coming off injury, so we'll see how that happens. Defense is where it kind of gets, easier to explain because you got Quinnen Williams on the defensive tackle. You got Solomon Thomas and Tanzel Smart at also defensive tackle. So if you put two of those guys right next to each other, you're going to have a field day. You got Jermaine Johnson, who they drafted last year. Carl Lawson has been a veteran in the league. He's been pretty good for his time. And Bryce Huff had a pretty good breakout year last year, I'd say.
So here's the thing.
They got a defensive line.
Very rarely do you have a defense that comes out of nowhere and is amazing one year, be super amazing the next year. They generally have some sort of decline, but
I don't see them just having
with their young people here, and Sauce Gardner being probably the biggest name there, they may be able to keep that up. And if they can keep up that defense and Aaron Rodgers can raise that offense a little bit, I think that changes this team's outlook a lot. Because
I don't see them dropping off.
They lost a lot of close ones last
And then,
year.
of course, linebacker. I feel like linebackers are probably their weakest position. Quincy Williams is pretty good, and then C.J. Mosley is great or good. I can't remember if he played last year, but he's been good for what his career has been. And these guys, I can't really say anything about. But like we just talked about with him, Matt just talked about Sauce Gardner. They just signed Adrian Amos, Tony Adams. They just signed as well, I believe. You still got Bryce Hall on at corner as well to go with Sauce Gardner, and then you have they signed or traded someone from the Ravens. Oh, Chuck Clark. They got Chuck Clark from the Ravens. So you have a pretty good secondary right there. As if you can get it working and keep it in groove like you did last year, then this is a great defense to go with a great quarterback, to go with a great running back, to go with a great 2 or 3 wide receivers right here. I think the downfall is will this offensive line perform, and will this linebacking core will be able to hold over the middle so they don't get 10-yard first downs every time over the passing game. So I think that's what's going to be a very deciding factor for the Jets this season.
All right, well, let's go ahead and look at this schedule then. Preseason, they're going to be with the Browns and the Panthers and the Buccaneers. Again,
And the Giants.
wait a minute. I jumped.
They're playing the Hall of Fame game. They get an
They got
extra
the
game.
Hall of Fame game, and then I'm like, wait, how do they have more games? Okay, so let's get the regular season.
What did we
Bills.
say for this one?
We
I can't
already
remember.
said that they would lose to the Bills.
That's right.
Away,
That's right.
but the Bills would win. Let me get my pen ready to go here for the Jets so we can keep track of this. But the Jets start their year with a loss. Ooh, New York papers going crazy. Did we make a stupid decision getting Aaron Rodgers? And all of the fans, I know they'll probably extend them at least 1 week, right? Okay,
Yeah.
what I think happens
they-
against the Cowboys, though?
Oh, Cowboys. Oh man.
That's his Aaron Rodgers' old head coach, right?
Yeah. I don't think that's a factor in me though. I think it's just the defenses for each team and how. I think the Jets win. I think they have a more veteranized, I guess you can say, or a more less turnover prone quarterback than the Cowboys. And I think the defenses are the factor in this one. But I mean, you got the edge rush in the rushing game or the pass rush game in Dallas, and you got the secondary in New York. I just think there's more turnovers. Whoever wins the turnover game is going to win this one, and I think it's the Jets.
I'm actually going to go with the Cowboys on this one. I think Cowboys always start strong, and I think this is going to be one of those where Aaron Rodgers is still not totally on the same page as everybody, and I think the Cowboys win this. So get your tiebreak ready.
All right, Cody, what do you want? What do you say on this one?
Cowboys or Jets, Cody? What are you picking?
In Dallas, yeah, in Dallas.
In Dallas.
I don't know if that matters, but
I almost clicked on buy tickets. We don't want to buy tickets here on the show. We're going to give him a moment or two there. And then why don't you go ahead and get your coin flip ready. Don't necessarily share it yet, but get that screen ready to go just in case we don't have that tie break. And we can see what the coin says.
Cowboys.
All right. Well, we're going to go with that. In week 2, the Jets get their second loss of the season, and New York is really starting to fret. But then I think week 3 comes along. They get a win against the Patriots, and people start to maybe see some hope, but then they hit week 4. Now, I don't think we've done the Chiefs yet, so I don't have to check against what we've done before.
I think they lose.
But
the Jets win. The Jets lose, sorry.
I could see the Jets somehow upsetting the Chiefs here in week 4. As crazy as that sounds.
I think the Jets lose this one. I think it's more of a Chiefs. I don't know. I mean, and then play the Broncos next week, so it's that's an easy win. Actually, maybe not, but I just think the Chiefs win. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I hate to say it because I don't mind the Chiefs. I don't like Patrick Mahomes, but I just think they have too much on their side. You know what I mean? You have an unproven quarterback in New York so far. I mean, he's proven in some other places, but you have an unproven quarterback in New England or New York. You have a coach who he's almost over the hill, but he's not quite over the hill, and you have a defense who's proven themselves and a wide receiver core that's proven themselves. But do you have that head coach and that quarterback? And every single thing I just named, the Chiefs have. They have a proven quarterback, proven head coach, et cetera, et cetera.
I can go with the Chiefs here. I will just make a note here in the podcast.
Matthew said the Jets.
When we get there, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets upset.
I do think it will be a close game, but I don't think it's. You know what I mean?
So we're going to give them a loss here. Jets get a loss to the Chiefs. Then they go to the Broncos, and I think right now they're eager to get some wins. I think they do beat the Broncos.
Yeah.
Even with Sean Payton. I think he comes in and they beat him. But then they face the Eagles.
Yeah, I think they lose. You actually know what? That's a tough one. I'm second guessing myself. On Sunday afternoon, Philadelphia at New York. I'm going to say the Jets win this one, actually. I'm changing my mind.
You're going to give that one to the Jets. Let's see here. Jets, Eagles. This is another one that's tough because I feel like the Eagles were so strong at the end of last year that it's hard for me not to see them so strong this year coming in. Do I give them a win, a loss to the Jets? I've got to say the Eagles are going to win this one.
All right. Cody, what do you say?
Cody's like, why do you guys keep putting me in this position, these tough ones?
Well, it's good to get our viewers involved. I know Cody as well. He's probably having fun with this anyway.
Let's see what he says here about Eagles and Jets. Now, I realize that this means that if the Jets lose this one, they only have 2 wins through 6 weeks.
I know, and that's kind of what my factor was. And I was like, I don't see them going 2-4, and it's just crazy to think that they will.
It's gonna be a tough season because we've always been able to. The Jets are one of those teams that used to be like the Jaguars and the who else? There were teams that you could just. Oh, he has chimed in and said Eagles will remain dominant. I agree with that. So we're giving them a loss here. That gives them
2-4,
4 losses and 2 wins through 6 weeks. But then they hit their bye week in week 7, which gives them a chance to kind of start getting things together. And I think they come back against the right team in week 8, and I think they beat the New York Giants.
Me too.
So I'm going to give that a win. But then let's see what they got. Chargers, Raiders. I think both of those are winnable for them. And maybe they're starting to hit a roll. I'm going to give them a win over the Chargers. Boy, I'm making the Chargers out to be not a very good team this year if you look at all of our previous matchups against the Chargers. But I think the Jets beat the Chargers, and I think the Jets beat the Raiders. Raiders are another one of those teams that right now I don't think we've given them a win, have we?
I don't know. I'm doing this because I figured I'd just do this so I can save it. So I can look back and oh hey, this team is already saved in the computer. I'm doing like the whole computer thing on whatever, and I'll just have you send me the other two teams or other 3 teams, and then the AFC North. But
yeah. I'll go ahead and give you a screenshot of those the wins and losses, and you can put those all in later. But we're right now on week 11 against the Bills, and we already said that the Bills
I think the Jets win also. Yeah, I was still deciding on the Chargers right now.
You were just still deciding what you. Yeah, I guess it's not just my thing.
Chargers, Raiders. I was still deciding on the Chargers, and I was like, well, the Chargers have a good offense. They also have an okay defense, but the Jets have a better defense, and this is probably the time where Aaron Rodgers is going to get his groove in. Yeah, the Jets win that one.
Okay, and then Raiders?
They won. The Raiders lose, sorry. Yeah.
The Jets win against Raiders.
And we have the Jets winning against the Bills, right?
This was our previous upset here. We said we thought that they would go to Bills Stadium in Buffalo there and win. Then we got week 12 with the Dolphins. We have the Dolphins losing. So we have the Jets winning again in week 12, according to what we just did a moment ago. Falcons,
Cody's team. This is Cody's team. I mean, me and Cody have been friends since Lakeland.
Let's let Cody answer.
Let's let Cody chime in. let's
Cody, before we say anything, we're going to give you a chance here, and I know that there's like a couple second lag on this, so we're going to talk long enough for you to say who you think's going to win. Do you think that your Falcons by week 13 will be ready for the Jets with Aaron Rodgers? Do you think they'll be ready to kind of put them back in the loss column for a while, or do you think that the Jets are just going to be a little bit too strong for them? And it's okay to say that your homer team is maybe not going to be the greatest this year.
Yeah, Matthew's done this. I just did it 2 times, and Matthew last week when we did the AFC North, I think the Colts lost every time.
I think the Colts are going to have a rough start this year. I would love to be surprised, but what do you think, Cody, when it comes to Falcons versus the Jets in week 13 of the regular season? We're eagerly awaiting your comment. It's coming. It's going to come. I can feel it coming.
So while we're waiting for his, the Jets play the Dolphins week 15. What did we have for that game? So I can just put it in real
Hold
quick.
on. What about 14? Texans.
I know. I mean, we already picked 15 because they play the Dolphins. That's what I'm asking.
Oh, you're saying down here on week 15 for the Dolphins, week 15, they have a win. So we're giving a loss there.
To the Dolphins or the Jets?
There's our answer. He says,
Bijan will be doing the dirty bird all day. So I think that means the Falcons are going to be winning.
Okay, so we got our viewership here. I'm like all over the place now. Where did the Falcons
Right
go?
here.
Week 13. Falcons, he says, will come in and stun the Jets after this string of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. He says week 13, the Falcons are going to surprise him with a loss.
I'm going to say I don't see it being that unrealistic. I've been saying this for a while. I think this is the year. I think this is the team that the Falcons finally at least get over the hump and win the division. Do they beat the Jets?
They're going to win the division?
I do.
In New Orleans.
I really do. I think the chemistry is there so far for the Falcons. I mean, they have a great run game with Alligator, Bijan Robinson. They still have Kyle Pitts, who had a down year last year, but they got a couple of receivers and they have a defense. I just don't think that Carr is going to be able to click with that offense with a defensive-minded head coach.
So it all comes down to their quarterback,
Desmond Ritter. Yeah.
Ritter. Yeah. So if he can step up, Bryce Young's still learning, and we don't know what the Panthers are going to be. And then the Buccaneers right now don't look good, I would say, with Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask. Neither one of them are looking that great there.
I'm gonna take it. I think the Falcons. I think the Jets are on too long of a win streak, and I know that doesn't really mean anything, but I think the Jets get cocky at this point, and they're like, and they just blow it. I think the Falcons win.
Okay, we're going to give the Falcons the win there. That's a loss for the Jets, and then I'm going to say Texans don't have it together with their new quarterback. And Jets get a win there in 14. We already said they get a loss at 15 to the Dolphins, which brings up Commanders in week 16.
I think they win. The Jets win.
Jets winning over Howell in week 16. Bringing up the Browns in week 17. Their penultimate game. Wait, where was their bye week? Oh, week 7, yeah.
Week 7.
So what do we got with the Browns? Deshaun Watson.
Well, right now they're 9-6, and I don't think they win the division, so they're making a playoff push. I think they win.
I think the Browns win this one.
All right, back to you, Cody.
Cody, week 17, Browns versus Jets. You got Deshaun Watson, and they just got who's their receivers?
They just got Elijah Moore from the Jets.
Elijah Moore. And they have
David Njoku, Amari Cooper, and they've just built their defense. But I think this is the point where Aaron Rodgers is like, all right, I got to make this trade worth it. I want to be able to know that I came here for a reason. I'm going to make the playoffs, and he's at 9-6 right now. He's fighting for that 6 or 7 seed, and he wins. I think that, but we're waiting for Cody's final response to see what happens because we're indecisive right now. I think the Jets can handle the Browns.
Okay. We've got the Jets winning against the Browns. And then we come to our good friend Bill Belichick and Mac Jones coming in to try and spoil the year for Aaron Rodgers. What's the win total you say right now?
10-6. So, yeah.
With the AFC, 10 wins could still land you on the outside. There's enough good teams, depending. We haven't gone through all the divisions yet. I can see this being one where the Patriots do just what the Lions did to Aaron Rodgers last year. Mm-hmm. Very last game, they lose. And it doesn't do anything for the Patriots. Patriots don't get in, but they keep the Jets from getting in. Now, I feel like the Jets are going to be a stronger team, but I also feel like that's just the sort of thing that can happen. So I'm going to leave this here for you guys. What do you think?
I just thought I'd pull this up real quick because it shows the whole schedule as we go through it like you, but
Oh, there you go. That's a better format.
instead of writing it down.
Yes, make that even a little bit bigger so we can see those team logos really well as we go through this. Okay, so week 18. It's the last one we got. What do you think?
I think the Jets make that final playoff push. I think they win. Make sure you because sometimes this will not save. So make sure you write this down just in case. Yeah, because as many times but like we did this last year, and I was like I saved it, and it didn't work. I think the Jets win.
Jets sweeping the Patriots. Right now, I think we have all of the teams sweeping the Patriots.
I believe so. Actually, no. I think the Dolphins split, didn't they?
I don't remember. We'll have to see in just a moment.
Yeah.
So you think they make the playoff push?
I think they make that playoff. This has been sadly Evan isn't here because he has basketball camp or whatever. But this would have been the perfect week for Evan to be here because remember when he came on that one time he was like, right when Aaron Rodgers was traded or whatever, the week we did that that podcast he was like, I think the Jets can make a push and win the division, and we'll have to find out if I don't think they did because I can't remember what the Bills record was, but.
So you think they beat the Dolphins record this year? 11 and 6.
I do. I think they have. I know the Dolphins are stacked, but did you see what they did with what's his name, Zach Wilson? That mediocrity at quarterback last year. I mean, they went 8-9 or 7-10 or whatever. Can you imagine what they'll do with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, let's give them the win in Week 18 and put them at 11-6. We'll give them that win there, and this will take us then to our last team of our AFC, and that is the Patriots. And actually, why don't we go to your little selection?
I'm just pulling up the roster real quick so we can look at it. So, they still have Mac Jones at quarterback. I mean, that's not a liability. It's no Carson Wentz, but it's not like it's a Josh Allen or an Aaron Rodgers. So I think they fall behind, but I think they do well enough to, stay relevant, I guess. They still got Ramondre Stevenson, although they lost Damon Harris to the Bills. I mean, so that 1-2 duo is gone. Maybe they use one of these guys as, their next Damian Harris or whatever. Kendrick Bourne is still there. I know they just interviewed or, had a visit with DeAndre Hopkins, so he may be signing. They just signed Juju Smith-Schuster. They still have Devontae Parker. And these three rookie receivers probably have something to prove. So, I mean, they don't have a bad receiving core at all. They still have Hunter Henry, which I think was their leading receiver last year, honestly, but might have been something else. But they just signed Mike Gesicki from the Dolphins, which is another fantastic pickup. They still have a formidable offensive line and Trent Brown at tackle, David Andrews at center, Cole Strange at guard as well. And then Michael Onwenu at guard as well. So they're missing one spot on the tackle position. One of these guys could probably, provide liability there, but it's no bad offensive line. Defensive line is kind of missing some pieces. I mean, they got Dietrich Wise and Lawrence Guy on the ends, but that middle spot that where running backs will probably run up right at the middle is kind of lacking, and it's kind of scary if you're a Patriots fan. I mean, Davin Godchow is not bad, but he's no top 10 defensive tackle is what I'm trying to say. So they have an okay defensive line. You still got Juwan Bentley, Matthew Judon, and Jalon Tave at linebacker. So you got an okay to pretty good linebacking core. Nothing to be worried about at all. Just like your defensive line, but nothing to be like excited about either. They'll make plays. You secondary, you just drafted Christian Gonzalez, which is one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. You still have Jonathan Jones, which you just re-signed to a multi-year deal, I believe, this past offseason. Jabril Peppers, Adrian Phillips, Jalen Mills, and Kyle Duggar are all pretty good safeties. They'll service you well. I think this is a top 15 to 16 secondary, in my opinion, may at the minimum top 20, but they're not bad at all. I think they get the job done. So, maybe some holes missing, but nothing big.
So, our friend Cody says that he thinks the Patriots would be better if Ramondre Stevenson carried the load this year.
I agree with that. He's clearly their number one back, but I just think there's going to be another guy to take the pressure off him. He's not going to be a 4-down back like a I can't remember who, like a LaDainian Tomlinson or who else, Barry Sanders or whatever. We're revolving into a league where you need to have another back to be your third down back, where you go and third and long, he's a running back, he's going on a wheel route or whatever. I don't think Ramondre Stevenson is that guy. I think he's a first down, second down, sometimes third down, depending on the yardage, more of a bulldozing back, in my opinion. He can perform both, but I just think they need some other guy, maybe like Ty Montgomery, who is a veteran at that position, who does that position well. He was a former wide receiver, or can be shifted into wide receiver. He can do that well. So I think these two guys, Ty Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson, are your two guys that you're going to be looking at the running back position for the Patriots.
All right. Well, go ahead and throw your win-loss column up there. Get those icons nice and big so we can see them. We're going to go through this.
Playoffs.
We're going to go through this week by week here and see what we think. Philadelphia Eagles in week 1. Starting off.
It's a loss.
With a loss. I agree. Miami Dolphins in week 2. We already said the Dolphins would win, so that's 2 losses to start the season.
Wow.
New York Jets in week 3 we said would win. That's 3 losses to start the season. Dallas Cowboys come in at week 4. Unfortunately,
I think it's a loss.
I think they're at Dallas. I think that is their 4th loss. It's crazy to think of 0-4 for a Bill Belichick team heading in. Now, what I will say is everything this year, I think, is going to depend on how Bill O'Brien does with the offense.
Exactly.
Last year, they tried to have the defense lead the offense. Yep. That didn't work. We might see something different, but I think Dallas is going to be still too much for them. But I think they might get their first win in week 5.
And then they get the win against the Raiders, if you agree.
Now the Raiders are looking bad.
Yeah.
You think the Raiders lose to New England?
Yes. No, I think the Patriots win. So, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I was just confused. But, yeah, I think the Patriots win.
Okay. I can go with this for now.
You know why?
Until I see something better from the...
Exactly. That, too. But I think Bill Belichick gets the better of his apprentice. Josh McDaniels is in Oakland now. I think Bill Belichick bests him.
I just would love if Josh McDaniels continues to look like a real idiot whenever he goes out and does head coaching on his own, since he left the Colts at the altar. Yeah. I just want to see every stint he does everywhere look so bad.
What did we do with these two teams? I forgot. I think we said that this one
Buffalo Bills in week 7 we had as a win, so that's a loss for New England. And then the Dolphins in week 8 we had a loss. Okay, so this is where we had the split. So we're giving them a win against the Dolphins in week 8.
Okay. I think this is the game. These two look back to back, but
Oh, you're already in week 9. Week 9, Washington Commanders.
Yeah. That defense on the Commanders is great. I know that for a fact. The offensive line, don't know, because we improved it maybe a little bit. We signed some guys, we drafted some guys. The offense has amazing weapons, Terry McLaurin and all these guys. But the question lies at the quarterback position, and we are in week 9. Let me look real quick. It'll save. I just don't know how he performs. Sam Howell performs in these first 8 games to to lead up to this point. Does Jacoby Brissett come in at some point? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So, wow. Let me look at this again 1 minute.
This is a very important moment for Josh here. We're giving him just a bit of time because
I think they win. Actually, I think the Commanders. I think Sam Howell figures it out enough to win.
Okay. Washington Commanders. What do I think? Commanders versus the Patriots. I think the Commanders win too. Surprisingly.
Okay.
So we're gonna in week 9 give them a loss. Now the question is, where's Anthony Richardson sitting in his development by week 10? Is it enough?
That's exactly what I just went through, and it's in Germany.
Oh, this is the one in Germany.
That's right. It even says right here. They updated that, so it says in Germany. They didn't do that last year. It just said international game.
Deutsche Bank Park, right there. Hooey. do
I'm
I
gonna
think?
say it. I think they get flustered. I mean, everybody expects the Commanders to win, or the Commanders to lose. Sorry. I think they get flustered and they go into that same week and they get flustered again. I think the Colts win. I think Richardson figures it out. I think Sirianni, he does what his work's supposed to do with, develops Richardson into a Jalen Hurts. I think they have an offense to work with it.
I think you
Jonathan
mean
Taylor.
Shane Steichen.
Yeah. Where does Nick Sirianni? Oh, Nick Sirianni is Philadelphia. Yeah.
He's in Philadelphia,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think they just have Jonathan Taylor. They got Alec Pierce still, which is, he's still waiting to prove himself. But they got Michael Pittman, and they got a secondary. The Colts do. They have a linebacking core, and they have a defensive line. I mean, not all top 10 position ranking, but they're not the worst in the league. And I think the Colts stifle them at this point. Also,
I will take that. I'm going to go ahead and let the Colts win this one. I don't know how strongly I believe in that, but I'm going to. I'm going to allow that.
I think week 12, bouncing back after a bye, I think the Patriots win this one.
I think the Patriots beat New York Giants. Whew.
Oh, I forgot to. What were you deciding? I forgot to say. Oh yeah, never mind. I did say it. No, I didn't. I forgot to say Adam Ranks, the guy that predicted the Bears go 12-4. He said the Jets would go 13-4. So I mean, he's not far off from us, but I think he's a little too high.
So Giants.
Yeah.
We've been again putting the Giants in a lot of loss columns here.
Well, we don't know. I think the whole division. I mean, actually, not the whole division, but every time we do the Giants, they're always in consideration because the quarterback. We don't know what he's going to do. Like, is he going to perform, above average like he did last year, or is he going to take a step down, or was he going to improve? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He has the weapons. He has the offensive line. He has the running back. And how does he use them?
This is Dayball there?
Yeah, I think he wins. I think the Patriots win this one. I think they bounce back. And there's no way Bill Belichick is going to start a season off 3-9 with Mac Jones. I mean, it is Mac Jones, but it's not like they were like the Cam Newton days, that 1 year in New England, dude. I mean, it's not... They're not that bad.
All right, let's give them the win. Win over the Giants in 12.
And
Chargers in 13.
They lose.
I can get on board with that. Pittsburgh Steelers.
I think the Pittsburgh Steelers win. Wow, I can't believe.
I agree.
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs. I think they win.
The Patriots win.
Broncos. Another one of those teams we keep throwing under the bus.
You know what? This is the one the Broncos win. I'm calling it. I'm going to say it right now.
They're giving them another loss for the
Wait. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm seeing
somebody.
I can't believe I'm seeing. What do we have against the Bills? Because we can revise these as we go.
The Bills in week 17? They're winning this one.
The Bills are, or the Patriots?
Bills. That's what
we have them at 4-13. I can't see that, but then again, like.
Do you think they beat the Jets in week 18?
I don't know.
We already said they didn't.
And then we're looking back at it because it's like, I don't know. I mean, if you want to switch, I'd be not opposed.
I think I was the one saying I thought that New England would beat the Jets at the end when we were talking about the Jets. So
I'll be willing to switch. I'll switch that over. So we
right,
got 5 and 12.
Switch. That's going to put the Jets at 10-7, tied with the Dolphins, and 5 and 12 for the Patriots. Which
what's his name? Adam Rank had the Patriots at 8-9, but I don't see that either. I think it's a 6-7 team win team, but I think we're just a little low. I think there's a few upsets here. I can switch the Commanders or the Colts, one of those two. I could care less, but I just see them. I see things working out for both of these teams and at week 9 and 10, and I don't see the Patriots winning these. I don't know why, but I have a feeling.
I think if you're going to switch one of those Commanders or Colts, it's probably the Colts will lose there.
If you want to.
I feel like the more I can predict the Colts to lose, and then if they win a lot, it's just gravy for me.
Yeah.
No expectations, just gravy. So are you switching the Colts?
They went 8-9 last year. I don't know what their schedule was. Yeah, we'll switch the Colts.
Who, the Colts did? Or are you talking about
the Patriots?
Patriots.
So we put them at 6-11 now. And I don't see there anything else we can switch because we have them splitting the Dolphins, Jets, and Bills, I believe. No, actually, the Bills sweep, the Dolphins split, and the Jets split. I don't see them beating the Chiefs. I don't see them losing to the Broncos. Actually, I see the Broncos finally getting something together. I see the Chargers at that point where they're still trying for a playoff push, but they're not at that week 15, 16, 17, 18 where they're going to choke it away. I don't see any scenario where one of these teams win a game. One of these teams lose a game to the Patriots. I think they just have a harder schedule.
Well, I think we can go ahead and let the Colts be a loss, and so that for a win for them, which puts them at 6-11, and I think that's fine. 6-11 will be what it is, right?
Yeah.
So, if that's true, then we have our playoff prediction for the AFC East. I'm going to read it to you here. We have the Bills going 12-5, winning the division, followed by the Jets at 11-6. No, 10-7. We switched it right there at the end. 10-7, tied with the Dolphins, also at 10-7. And I don't remember which one of those. I don't know how that would work out as far as the tie break, but we'll just leave them both at 10-7. We got New England at 6-11. So that's your AFC East. Brandon Colmark, if you don't agree with any of that, that's your fault for not being able to be here with us today. The rest of you, if you don't agree with that, put something in a comment, send us a note telling us where you think we got it wrong, because we very well could have gotten some of these wrong with as much as we know about the AFC East. But of course, who doesn't? That, though, is what we have for the AFC East. Bills winning it. New England in fourth place with a tie in the middle. Join us next week. We're going to look at the AFC South. That's my list. That's mine. Join us on the Football Fandemic.